So, welcome everyone. I think we can start. So, if anyone would like to read the opening aspiration, please unmute and we can all hear it and inwardly chant it. Yeah.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Thank you. So, we'll continue with verse 4, Heroic Heart, 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. So, we just go over the verse again and then we jump to the passage where we left. So, this was remembering impermanence. Yeah, if anyone would like to read first the verse and then we take it up from this page that where we left last time. Yeah.
I can read it. Okay. Close friends who have long been together will separate. Wealth and possessions gained with much effort will be left behind. Consciousness, a guest, will leave the hotel of the body. To give up the concerns of this life is the practice of a bodhisattva.
Yeah, so maybe
Should
you
I?
can continue. Yeah, you can continue just starting from this the last page and what we have done about that. Dilgo can say starting from here
Okay.
we take. Yeah.
And what have we done about that? Dilgo Khyentse Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche points out the following: ordinarily, worldly concerns bring only suffering and disappointment in this life and the next. The appearances of samsara are highly unstable, ever changing, and impermanent, like lightning as it flashes across the night sky. To reflect on the impermanence of all phenomena helps turn your mind towards the dharma. Recently,
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can take a pause here. Yeah, thank you.
okay,
Yeah. So this Jetsunma is quoting from a different book, which again is a commentary. It's a beautiful commentary on not very contemporary, because when we read Jetsunma's commentary, we we resonate more strongly because it's a contemporary commentary. There is another commentary which is called The Heart of Compassion by this author and master Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. So this is where Jetsunma is quoting from this paragraph. And just right after this paragraph, so he continues, and I'll just maybe make us go through this little bit from this book, the other book. So we are just trying to reflect on impermanence, and usually it's very hard for us to talk about death or that we will lose loved ones. We don't even want to touch that space because it hurts. But if we begin to reflect over this, the very fact that we all will, the bodies will turn to ash, the close ones will go away, no matter how close they may be, and we will lose loved ones slowly, one by one. It actually, what happens is initially, after we can go through a little bit of hurt, but then we actually know the facts of life, that like we see it, how it happens. And then we can prepare ourselves better for living this life that we have, which is impermanent. We are prepared better. So we have to, I think, go through that little hurt that is caused when we talk about death, or that we will lose our loved ones, or part ways with closest of friends. So here he says, commenting on this fourth verse, he says, again, I'll just repeat what was quoted and then what he says later. Ordinary worldly concerns bring only suffering and disappointment in this life and the next. So this is our experience. We don't have to go by the book. This is our experience, that no matter how close the relationships are, how intimate they are, they do bring us also, along with the joy that they bring, a lot of suffering. The appearances of samsara are highly unstable, ever changing, and impermanent, like lightning as it flashes across the night sky. To reflect on the impermanence of all phenomena helps turn your mind towards the dharma. So once, usually what we are trying to do is we are trying to grasp onto something. Either we are trying to grasp onto a relationship, a person in our life, some workplace, some money, some property, something which I can hold on to as my ground. And when we begin to reflect over this, then we realize that, oh my God, we don't have any ground. Groundlessness is our ground. Since everything is changes, if we look back at our childhood, we will see that many people that we loved, they are not there anymore. So we may have to go through hurt, a little bit of emotion hurt, but that's a fact. So he says that to reflect on impermanence of all phenomena helps turn your mind towards the dharma. It does, because then we stop seeking ground everywhere. We stop trying to clutch onto things, because we see that even if we clutch for some time, very soon it will be taken away. And the very fact that I'm clutching makes either the relationship or anything very sour. It makes it very bitter. So then he says, as it is said, whatever is born will die, whatever is gathered will disperse, whatever is accumulated will come to exhaustion, whatever is high will fail. I remind myself of Kabir's couplet here. He says, फूला फाल्या क्या फिरे, क्या बतलावत अंग, एक दिन फना हो जाएगा जैसे कीट पतंग. And then he continues, he says, जो चूने सो ढही पड़े. So the one who goes up also comes down. जो चूने सो ढही पड़े, जो फूले सो कुमलाए. The one who flowers, blossoms, it also wilts. जो उगे वो आठ में, जो जन्मे तो मरी जाए. So again talking of impermanence in life, that how things actually keep on changing. And then he says that in our delusion, we see things and beings as being permanent and truly self-existing. But in reality, phenomena are impermanent. We want to believe that our partners, friends, wealth, influence, all will endure. But by nature, they are bound to change. It is therefore senseless to be so preoccupied with them. Because there's nothing like where I can really have it. You can't have it. And then he gives the example of how nature keeps on changing. Look, for example, how the seasons change on earth. In summer, luscious green foliage abounds everywhere. Landscape looks like paradise. By autumn, grass has dried and yellowed. Flowers have turned to fruit. Trees begin to lose their leaves. In winter, the land can be white with snow, which later melts as the warmth of spring arrives. And then he continues and he says, not a single stable phenomena can be found anywhere in this world and outside. So when we see that everywhere around me, this is how life is, and even when in my delusion, when I try to cling on to something as forever, then he says that if we do reflect on this, then we can actually turn our minds to dharma, because then we will see it for a fact and stop the stupidity that I'm doing. May stop, not for sure. Yeah, yeah. So anything here, anyone?
Yeah, surprisingly, at the nature of the thing, in the big picture, this seems, of course, very true, right? Impermanent. And yet, because of our sticky nature, because we keep clinging, we keep sticking, and because obviously, even the desire and the clinginess, the focus also keeps changing, right? So, even though I'm listening to this, and this is not the first time, right? And yet, something in me doesn't agree with it fully. It says me, kuch to hai, you know, there is some ground, like, as in, it just feels that till I will be fully vetoed, or, जब तक पूरी तरह हटेगा नहीं, there is this false perception, because everything is relative, right? If I've had something for 10 years, for me, 10 years feels big, 20 years feels big, right? So we can say कि अरे माँ बाप का हाथ सर पे है, that's permanent. And जब नहीं, how it's very evident that पूरा जो, I don't know, it's like just, it's hard to fully resonate, because there's some things which I don't see fully. There's some falseness that I'm clinging to, some assumptions and because it doesn't hit that hard yet. Everything is impermanent. Big picture, yes, I can say that. But if I sit with myself and reflect on it, especially without reflection, maybe not reflect on it, then it would be there. But it doesn't hit as hard as it should, because it's so preoccupied and so much an assumption. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Today I was talking to somebody who now is, although in a family, but now single, like relatively single, uh, husband there and the child somewhere else. And as if the focus has now come back on her, and the person wanted to live her life. And this is how, this is our, like, and I showed to her also that, look, this is what everyone is doing, so let's explore this. So she said now that she's no connection with the husband anymore, and the husband lives somewhere else. On paper, there is no divorce, but there is hardly any connection. So one can say that you are already inwardly separated. But there are people around, and when there are people around, there's glitter around, and that what I did not get from that person, maybe this person, you know, will give me. So that is coming in the picture, and the intensity was too great. Like it was like I'm not able to be with this intensity. And I showed to her that whenever we talk about any intensity in a relationship, we can be 2000% sure that it is not your soul relationship. It is coming from this vital self, the desire soul, craving, the grasping part of us. Whenever there is intensity, we can actually we can write it. One thing which is for sure is, wherever there is restlessness and agitation, it is the action of our vital nature. It is not our true soul. So I was again explaining this to her, and but I didn't give her gyan, thankfully, and she was not also looking for the gyan. And although she expected that you would bitha me and tell me that you occupy yourself in woodwork and something like that, but to her disappointment, I said go ahead, because I told her that now you are on two boats and your legs are like this, pant is getting torn from the middle. So you are here, but you don't want to be here. You are craving to be on the other side. And this is not how we live life. So even if you have to have your own experience that, okay, I want to have that companionship and let me see, maybe that fulfill me. That should be your experience. It cannot be given by anyone. Or if you think that grass is greener on the other side, it was just a delusion, that also has to be your experience. So I think that's very important for us that wherever we are interested in, we should not stop prematurely. We can't turn our mind towards dharma prematurely. We need our experiences. So I was just telling her that if this intensity, like this burning that you have to be there, that you will get something there, better you go there and get or try to get. Don't fool yourself that you want anything else in life right now. So I think these kind of experiences have their own importance. And that is why Mother says that passions are favorable than dull inertia, because passions make us learn, you know. But inertia, I think I know, but I don't know because I'm not testing myself out. So it's good to go through these experiences so that I know for myself. And you are absolutely, I was resonating with when you were sharing that even if after we say this relationship may not work, it would be only act of grace that I realize that okay, bhiya, mera ho gaya. Only otherwise, I can actually jump onto another one and say no, maybe there was something wrong, with that person. Bad luck this time. Maybe good luck next time. And we have examples in human lives where one after the other, several relationships, and not stopping even after 12 and 13 relationships. We have very good examples. So yes, this is how hard we learn. Yes, very true. Yeah, anything here? More? Anyone? And I think one thing which is needed to be clarified here is not that we are wanting to live an ascetic life and no relationships, stay away from people. It's not like that, because that's the feeling that we get, that oh, no, I want to live this life. So we think that as if we are trying to say that don't live this life. It is pap, it is sin. So we have to see that even if we want to live a beautiful life in relationships and workplace and wherever interacting with people, we are unable to live that beautiful life when we try to clutch onto things as okay, this will make me complete. you know so that's the thing, that when we become non-sticky, then only we begin to love and live. But I think we all need our own experiences to come to that point.
Ma'am, when you're saying this, I just feel that I wish the soul speaks as loud as the vital being, so I can listen to both and get to decide between them.
I think there will be no fun then. Maybe it's for fun that the vital speaks louder. Yeah. I think, see, everything has its proper place, like the example that I was quoting, of my friend. So in her case, now she has lived a life which is very suffocated, one can say outwardly. That, being a daughter-in-law and being the mother and the wife, and now she's rid of all those responsibilities. So what she's feeling right now is that I'm not, why am I in a trouble or like in two boats? Because I don't want to lose my images that I've created for myself. That look how decent I am, so pativrata and everything. But now in her life, I feel this experience is important because she's now ready to let go of those images and be a sinner, if I may be called a sinner, just because I want to live a life that I want to live. I don't want to have any images about myself, that people should respect me and, adore me of the person I am. So in her life, I feel that right now this experience is actually calling out to her because she needs to let go of that burden of images that she has been carrying. And it's okay to be a sinner. Be a sinner if society calls you a sinner, but live your life. So right now she almost is in a choiceless state because that experience calls her so much forward that she has to leave that baggage of images and roles behind. So again, that also I feel has a purpose. So this vital calling also serves a purpose on the way, the intensity of the vital. And if one has lived, she so far has not been able to live that intensity of the vital. We have to see, because of the obligation of the roles, images of a wife and mother who is always caring about the child, nothing else, self-sacrificing. Now when the focus is on her as a human being, she realizes that, oh my God, I have not lived this life. So I think that before we can come to self-forgetfulness and surrendering ourselves, we somehow I feel that most of us need to go through all these intensities and experiences. And then these experiences become our own, and then we can let go and further move on.
That's an interesting thought, actually, because on the path of spirituality itself, there are images, right? That we have to be free of attachments. We have to, not feel those desires, or at least not turn towards those desires, and it's difficult. So what I'm hearing is, might as well turn towards those desires and see where that leads you, because eventually you'll come back, to the path. And that's liberating in a way, and because it's very difficult to get rid of these images. I mean, if I look at myself, of course there's this need to be accepted by my near and dear ones, and there's also a need to be this person, be this somebody who doesn't commit mistakes or is right, or it's just so hard to let go of those images that I have for myself, and of course others have for me. But even, even that courage to follow that vital and desires is not that easy to come by. That in itself is.
That's why Kabir says, "Lakdi jal koila bani, लकड़ी जल कोयला बनी, कोयला जल भयो है राख, मैं अभागन यूं जली, ना कोयला बनी ना राख." ये हमारी सिचुएशन है, बिल्कुल परफेक्ट, फिक्स।
हाँ, इसके लिए ना एक वर्ड है, फेंस सिटर। कि भाई ना हम ये कर रहे हैं, ना हम वो कर रहे हैं, and just watching what should be the right move, and in that the entire life is spent.
Very true, very true. Yes. Again, Kabir ji says, "जिन खोजा तिन पाइयां गहरे पानी पैठ, मैं बपुरा बूढ़न डरा रहा किनारे बैठ." So whoever wanted to found in the plunges. We don't take the plunge. You're right. We are always sitting on the side. Oh, let others, people take plunge, and maybe we can laugh on the stories and comment. But I don't want to take plunge. Because as you said, that we are so afraid of letting go of those images that we have created in our head for ourselves, which have no absolute reality, no truth whatsoever. They are just images. And to save those images, I don't even live a life and have those experiences which can actually make me progress further. So if only we can hello from our inertia after hearing this. Yeah. So it's good to reclaim. I think, although it may not sound well with everyone, that, oh, you are asking me to follow my desires, but can you stop? You don't have a choice to stop. If you had a choice to stop, and this is what I was sharing with her also, that imagine a situation that you have two things to follow, this divine road towards your own inner whatever journey, or maybe following a desire. Right now, don't say that you have an option, because you don't. The energies are so restless that you can't take the divine turn immediately. You are just bound to take that desire turn. And that's completely okay. We don't have to label it as something which, oh my God, paap. It is there, it has a place. But at least walk, at least run, at least do something. Begin walking. Because sitting on the fence, we actually really, it's like a waste of a precious life. So plunge, Kabir ji is saying, Jin khoja tin paiya, taking a plunge. Gehre pani pe. Divine is everywhere. You deeply plunge in one relationship, you will find. Ultimately, you will reach the divine. But we don't take the plunge. And that is why Mother would say that passions are preferable, because people who are passionate, they take the plunge. And then through their suffering, they arrive, to the truth. So live passionately in the beginning, before surrendering, live passionately so that we can be ready for surrender.
Jagan, what you were sharing about, wish the voice was louder. There is this beautiful quote from Rumi that says that there is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. Just like everything else, I could, wish that I hope the other was different. I hope the situation was different. The circumstance was different. But it's I who's not listening. That voice is loud and strong. But because it's not you, it's like if you go to a hut, if you go to a mandi, there would be 50 people shouting, कि ये इतने का, ये इतने का, and there are 2-3 vendors who are just sitting silently. They have good things, so they know they don't have to shout. But who am I following, right? Like, where am I? Am I getting pulled towards the voices, the attractions? Or can I see that, he's sitting silently, maybe he has good things. So again, it's on me. It's on me and not on the voices or the voice that is calling or not calling. It's what I am sensitive enough to listen to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, man. Even I think it's also, for me, it's also important to distinguish uh, the good product and the bad product. Before in the mandi, I go to the people who are quiet and, recognize that the products are superior compared to the ones who are shouting. So yeah, a bit of experience might be needed in that. Thank you.
Yeah, would anyone want to read ahead?
Yeah. Recently, I read an article that was written by a woman who had spent many years taking care of hospice patients and people who had drawn out terminal illnesses. She made a number of observations that were fairly common with all of them. One was the tremendous transformation as they accepted that they were going to die, which most people don't ever want to think about. They acknowledge that death was there. Of course, we are all going to die. We don't have to be a cancer patient to know that. But normally, people don't want to think about it. Now, these patients had to think about it. This transformed their lives because they began to recognize what is important and what is not important. One of the major regrets was that they had to spend so much of their life working so hard to accumulate all their possessions, big houses, more cars, an important position in their company, and so forth, instead of giving more time and energy to what was really important, like spending more time with their children and with their partners, concentrating more on spiritual issues, and doing things that have real importance in this world. They had been lulled into believing that what really mattered was getting on in life. That was the primary regret everybody had, which is interesting. Many of them also felt happy that they had some time to say they were sorry to people that they had hurt and to tell their loved ones that they really loved them. They just re-evaluated their whole life, and what was important was more about what they had done for the world than about what the world had done for them. One of the good things about Buddhism is that it talks a lot about death. This is important because by talking about death, it reminds us that we are alive and that we need to access what we are doing with we need to assess what we are doing with our life because we are not going to have it forever. We can appreciate something if we know we are going to lose it. If we think we've got it forever, the then we don't value it anymore.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe we can stop here, pause here. Yeah, any thoughts? Any sharing, anyone?
I love the word lulled. I think that's exactly what happens with me. I'm on the path, I know what I want, and then the previous example, which was being said, the outside noises around me lull me into believing that this is not the right path. Interestingly, I had a conversation with myself some days back. So I've been stuck in the snow for many months, which is not easy for we Canadians. And I've been wanting to travel, but I don't have the spare money. So I've been like really begging कहीं से पैसे arrange हो जाएं, कुछ better हो जाए, कि पैसे आ जाएं. So I asked myself, today is your last day. What would you do? What would you ask? And I realized I would want a really, really meaningful, loving conversation with someone I love and care, and not those places. And even if I get those places, whom I am going to spend time with there? That realization hit me so hard that it's what I need to really invest myself. वो होगा तो वो भी अच्छा हो जाए, पर किसके साथ, क्यों, कब, कैसे, उन सवालों के जवाब नहीं थे मेरे पास. So it really brought me to the reality that that one bowl of popcorn I can have with my kids is far, far more meaningful and enjoyable than any turkey or grease that can happen to me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. You know, that example of a friend that I was sharing, that was very reflective actually. So it covered many aspects. So um, when she was sharing, you know, since she's a bit reflective also, so I made her attention to the fact that we are all craving for something which is not present. So I told her that, look, you are here and something is glittery over there and you want to be there. You know, there is a promise. And now, can you connect with everyone's pain? Everyone has a life situation like that. Everyone, most of us, virtually most of us, you know, all of us are exactly in this situation that we are somewhere and then there is somewhere which appears more glittery and there is like a craving which goes out that if only, you know, I could be there or whatever with that person, or it's the human situation. I think through our pain we understand the human situation, that we are all living from that desire self, which is not our true self, which is not our true self, which cannot ever give us satisfaction. So each step of my life, I can connect with a larger collective. What a situation, man. Billions of us. Imagine, right now, billions of us on this planet. People may be living very lovingly in families, but each one in the family may have their own carrots on the stick hanging somewhere. So then, when we see this situation, then we actually begin to wonder, what is this happening? What is this going on? What is this drama going on? When will I stop? When will we stop? It's actually very spooky, the feeling that you get when you really connect with this running and that everyone is doing that running. You see, you people around, if you look at a few couple of cases, around, everyone is running. Nowadays, with our phones, we are connected much better with the outer world. And that somehow I feel, along with all the advantages it has given us, which is amazing, it is also like, maybe like, I feel that it's like it has connected me to the outer, the externalizing words too much. And again, it promotes the craving. One is not there where one is. One is always somewhere else. Plus, but along with that, I would like to say here, when Manmeet you were sharing, that it's beautiful to be stranded, and maybe you would resonate with the Tales of Prison Life by Sri Aurobindo. Because I remember reading it in around the time of lockdown, if I'm not wrong, and it was really amazing how he shares that one can make very good and beautiful use of whatever is happening when one is, not that much capable. So I have a feeling that you may resonate with that. I can send you the PDF. It's a very simply written book. Yeah. Okay, I'll send you. Yes. Yeah. Anything else? I'm not there. It's very hard to tame the mind. It's very hard. That's why people come again and again, masters come again and again, try to attract us into different methods and tools so that we can finally get attracted to tame the mind. And it's actually, Sri Aurobindo talks about it, that first we have to become the mental being. What do you mean by becoming a mental being? That right now, each part of my being is its own master. There is no central master. So when I say that, okay, although we very proudly say that man is an intellectual being, mental being, but if we look at our situation, mind is not the master of the being. Because if I say, okay, stay with the breath now for 10 minutes, you don't move, you will see what moves and what not. So when this mastery begins to develop, that okay, when I want to sit for 10 minutes, I can sit for 10 minutes, and the mind will listen, the vital will listen, the body will listen. It may appear like an army command, but actually quite related, I would say. That no second thoughts now. You are not going to sleep before you finish this work. So and again, when moods are arising, moods are side pay, calm, whatever one is doing concentratedly, one finishes that. So we see that we actually are not there. We are not yet mental beings. First, we have to bring the mind to such a mastery that we become mental beings, actually, truly mental beings, that mind is the ruler of the being. It says the vital, okay, shut up, and it shuts up. And actually, Mother uses this word that he keep quiet. And then the body also keep quiet. Okay, no laziness, keep quiet. So when this begins to happen and we develop a certain relative degree of mastery, then we can think of going beyond the mind. But we see that our situation right now is not even this. It's all like a hocus pocus in the being, chaotic. Feelings are wanting all the time, jumping around. मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे वो चाहिए, and then we are trying to like a stubborn child, we are trying to, okay, ये ले ले प्लीज, खुश हो जा, फिर वो दूसरी पे जंप कर जाती है, अच्छा ये ले ले, ये कुछ, फिर वो तीसरी पे जंप कर जाती है तब तक, so this is our story, this is what we do all the time. So that's why we in Buddhism give so much importance on taming the monkey mind, so that we can become the mental beings first that Sri Aurobindo talks of. उतना तो करे, आए हैं तो वो भी नहीं किया तो एक एनिमल लाइक लाइफ इंस्टिंक्ट वाइज जी के चले गए, मतलब व्हाट इज इट दैट वी आर डूइंग हियर. एंड दैट्स व्हाई मास्टर्स हैव said countless number of songs on do not waste the precious human birth. Use it, do not waste. So rather than, of course, we all have our impulses, desires, way to follow. We must, of course, go in the direction wherever we are led. But parallelly, we must also cultivate, now that we know, from words of masters, we must also cultivate a little bit of mastery and discipline, that the body listens to the mind, command of the mind. The heart listens and not is moody all the time. And if the mind says, okay, today 10 minutes, tomorrow 20 minutes, and we say, okay, yes, master. So utna halka, dheere se, like slowly, gradually, with a little bit of coaxing, cajoling, like we do with a little child. ये नहीं किया तो क्या किया, मतलब why are we here? गोलगप्पे सबको पसंद है, भल्ले पापड़ी सबको पसंद है, वो कितने खाएंगे, मतलब उसकी भी एक लिमिट है ना, कभी कभी पेट भी खराब कर देता है. you know I guess we had Holi here and it was a very interesting sight. So there was one beautiful line by Jack Cornfield, a Buddhist master, who has a beautiful voice, like beautiful guided meditation he has on YouTube. So he used to say, after the ecstasy, the laundry. We forget the laundry. We are so busy with the ecstasy. So downstairs in our apartment where the people were celebrating, it was a chaos today, full of all the balloons and the plastics and the, like, and all the staff here. Of course, we say that, okay, this is why they are staff, here for taking care of us who are unruly wild animals. And now they're busy cleaning, wasting tons of water in what we did yesterday. Amazing. Such a waste of raw material, it feels. People are not getting pani to drink, and here we are, cleaning up the holy colors and everything with like hoses of water and like sweeping and mopping and everything. So it was a funny sight, and I was reminded of that, after the ecstasy, the laundry. Yeah. कुछ तो circus चाहिए, yeah, of course. Yeah. So anything anyone wants to add on here? Yeah, we can.
Ma'am, when you were talking, no, you said life is precious. So if I had a calling of my mind, if my vital tells me, okay, go into this friendship passionately, and I spend 10 years into that friendship, showing all passion, then, and after 10 years, then I don't like it anymore. I come out of it, but my mind still tells me that maybe this didn't work out, so let's spend another 10 years more passionately this time into someone else. 20 years gone out of my life. So if life is really precious, then is it not that I'm wasting my time?
No, of course, you are correct, but we don't understand, no? You would see, if I tell you that, Jagan, you're wasting your life, like, running after this and that person, would you resonate? Would you not resonate, no? You would say, आपकी लाइफ में नहीं हुआ होगा, मेरी लाइफ में होगा. आपको नहीं मिला ढंग का बंदा तो मेरे को मिलेगा ना. So we are not convinced, and that's why experiences are there. See, the moment you said I have passionately invested myself in 10 years of a relationship, won't you have learnings from those 10 years? Of course you would have learnings. So you would not be able to repeat those 10 years. They would not be a repetition. It can't be. We are not that stupid. We are stupid, but not that stupid. It would be something else. It would be a different mistake, different error, and those are okay. But you are correct that we don't learn, because unless we have like our own stumbling and our own pain and our own bleeding, I don't learn from everyone else's bleeding. I don't. That's my nature. That's why they have, Swami Vivekananda called us that dog's tail. Human beings' nature is like a dog's tail. As long as the hammer of pain is there, it's pressed straight. The moment the hammer is taken, it's again curved. Haven't you seen? I have seen with myself. In the phases where I am in pain and suffering, the intensity with which I turn to the divine is not the same intensity when I turn in my good days. Of course, लेकिन I can't even find myself saying that please दर्द में रखो, because दर्द भी तो दर्द होता है ना. इतना आसान थोड़ी ना है दर्द में रहना. But I've seen that for myself, and I know that our nature is like dog's tail, because if not for pain, I would not turn to divine. Who would? And
It's
that's what we
you know
call a clarify. Yeah, please go ahead.
no, go ahead, man, please.
Yeah, it's okay. I speak too much. Yeah, please go ahead.
It's also it also has to do with the amount of intensity that I can take, the pain I can take before I really want that change. So I really wish, like I think I have an answer to that to an extent, but to be sensitive enough and to have such high standards of, spiritual, um, like the high standards of walking the spiritual path, that I become so sensitive that I don't have to spend 10 years passionately. Spending one day is enough for me and getting out of it.
Beautiful. Yes, that's possible. People have. It's not the first time that we are talking of it. People have, and that's one of the masters. He speaks mostly in Hindi. Pradyumanji. He once shared that he was talking about the sensitivity of yogis like Buddha, for example. He says that Buddha or other yogis, they are so sensitive towards pain that the moment they have pain, they want to get to the root of that pain. We, on the other hand, become too used to that pain, and begin to distract ourselves with entertainment, going out with friends and having a beer, or, having whatever may entertain us. So he says that be very sensitive. And the moment you have pain, you just now can't tolerate it. You say that, oh my God, it pains really very heavily. What have I done? Let me go to the root of it. That's why what we hear in Buddha's story, that the moment he had pain, he said, no, I have to go to the root of it. This can't be life. If only we can be that sensitive and not numb ourselves through all the addictions that we have.
Thank you.
So here, we were, yeah. So again, reminding myself of Kabirji here, because he has said many things on death which are quite reflective. So in one of the couplets, he says, "Dar karni, dar param guru, dar paras, dar sar, डरते रहे so ubere, gafil khai mar." So the one who kept fearing actually got across, and the one who did not pay a heed and was not fearful could not go across. So here, when she is sharing that it is good to talk about death, and it is, in fact, in the other book, it is said that actually be fearful of death, and it think fear of death has a proper place also. Just let me read this and then maybe it's a little clear. So, yeah. So he says, we ought to fear death now and thus become fearless at the time of death. But instead, we are careless now, and when death arrives, we will beat our breast in anguish. So Lord Atisha said, leave everything behind and go. Do nothing, crave nothing. And again, it's not like do nothing, it's about the doership, do nothing. So he says, do not be overly concerned with the ordinary affairs of this life. Just concentrate on the dharma. So it's in simple words, it can be said that whatever may happen in our life, we see that it becomes like too sticky. It sticks to our mind. Somebody said in the morning something, it's sticking still in the evening to me. What did that person say? Some job offer I lost, it's still sticking on my head. Something I spilled in the kitchen or somewhere else. I lost some money. It's sticking to me, sitting on the head. So the basic thing is to keep the mind simple. When we talk of spirituality, keeping the mind very light and simple and uncluttered, decluttered. So when he says turn to the dharma, just concentrate on dharma. He says don't be overly concerned with the ordinary affairs of life. कि तुमको कितना मिला और उसको कितनी respect मिली और उसको कितना recognition मिला, मेरे को क्यों नहीं मिला. So these are ordinary concerns. And he says be concerned with the dharma. What is dharma right now here for us? Taming the mind. Is my mind tamed? No. Okay, let me work on that. If I say sit with the breath for 5 minutes, sit with mother's name for 15 minutes, it must sit. This is dharma. Whether what happened in the morning was a big loss, what will happen in the evening was maybe a greater loss, but I am not concerned. These losses will happen. Things will happen. People will come and go. People will shout at me. People will be rejecting me at times praising me. That all is secondary. What is most important for me is taming the monkey mind. So just concentrate on the dharma. This is our dharma. Start the day by arousing the wish for enlightenment. May I be free from this bondage. That would be my enlightenment. May I be free. May I have a simple, illumined mind. In the evening, examine everything you have done during the day. Confess whatever was negative. This mother also talks about. Mother says that when you sleep, a very good way to sleep is just review the whole day that you have lived. And through your own discernment and psychic intelligence, you will notice all those points where you could have done better or you said something which should not be have said. You maybe missed an opportune moment of kindness, where you wanted to do some kindness but you stopped yourself. So all this will automatically pop up on that mirror. So he says same thing. In the evening, examine everything you have done during the day, confess whatever was negative, and dedicate whatever was positive to the benefit of all beings. That whatever merit I may have accumulated through my good deeds, good thoughts, my own sadhana, I share it with everyone. I'm not keeping it to my little self. Make a promise to do better next day. Beautiful again, because since we don't know when the death strikes and whether we are alive every day or not, so every day winding itself up, like giving it a round full circle by reflecting and concluding, not letting restless affairs go on, entanglements go on. Sleeping with a simple mind and simple heart. Yeah, anything? Yeah, Snehi, this is, I'm reading from a book called Heart of Compassion. This is how it looks. It's a commentary on these 37 verses uh, by some other masters, not Jetsunma. That's what I was reading from. So let's take up a little bit more and then we can end. This is the last bit. It's a short commentary for verse 4. So we can just take the last bit. Yeah. Starting from when I was a little girl. Anyone who feels ready.
I'll read. When I was a little girl, I used to think that we were all on a train journey and that the train was going to crash. Only we didn't know when. Why were we wasting our time just gazing out the window and going to sleep? Why weren't we doing something more important with the short time we had before the train crashed? I can't remember if I did anything about that, but that's how I used to think. It is important to recognize that even the closest people who have been together with us since the beginning are one day going to separate from us, and we don't know when. Just because we love somebody doesn't mean that we can stay with them forever. It is not possible. Where are the people for whom in our last lifetime we would have given our life because we loved them so much? And in the next lifetime, there will be a whole new caste. We spend so much time trying to cultivate relationships that are precious while we have them, but we should make them as harmonious as possible because they will not last forever. Also, worldly possessions will definitely be left behind. We have to recognize that whatever we have gathered, we leave behind. We take only the karmic seeds, our sanskars, our habitual mental patterning with us. But we are usually careless about the karmic imprints in our substratum consciousness. And yet, that's our wealth. That's what we can take with us. Right now, our whole future, not just this lifetime, but future lifetimes, is being decided. It is in what we do with our mind, with our speech, with our body. Moment to moment to moment, we are creating our future. Nobody else can do it for us. Therefore, how we choose to spend our time on practice or in frivolity, and who we choose to spend our time with are clearly of paramount importance.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So actually, there it ends. Actually, the next verse starts on the importance of having good company and non-benefits of bad company. So there we start with the next one. But yes, before we jump to the next one, let's take it up here. Any thoughts, anyone? I remember Prashant sir used to create a very good visual for this, that as if this train is coming, very fast, and there are tracks in front of that train, long tracks. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to settle our houses and make our kitchens and bathrooms and bedrooms and make buildings on the track. Now, the train may not be yet in sight, but it is sooner or later it will come. And what we are doing is we are building houses and bungalows and investing so much energy making houses and buildings on the track. That was a very spooky imagery. Yes, that sooner or later this all has to wither away. And instead of being disappointing, this can actually bring vigor to our life. That then why to spend so much time in here, that I'm trying to earn these points which may not really serve me well. Let me spend time on those things which as just so much as which I can take with me. The wealth, the property, the people I'm not going to take away. But the inner attitude that will carry on. The deep habits, we carry on these habits. That's why Kabir says, माया मरी ना मन मरा मर मर गए शरीर आशा तृष्णा ना मरी. अब मुझे तृष्णा किस चीज की है? अगर तृष्णा मुझे भगवान की है, if the trishna is to unite with myself and I cultivate that trishna, or the at least the embarking on that carries on. Or if the trishna is of bhalle papdi, and don't know why I'm remembering bhalle papdi too much today, but if actually it happens that if the trishna is of bhalle papdi, in next life I will carry the trishna of bhalle papdi, you can be sure about that. We can really be sure. And if the trishna is of some other things like lust, having more relationships and having this and that, all that we carry. What do you want to carry to next life? Oh, that's why. So Manmeet, coming from Canada, Manmeet is making thalle papadi. Okay. I didn't know my thought can waves can, catch something from Canada. Thank you. I must have progressed in the past 2 years. Yeah, so I think this really makes us like wonder because, and we have many, many examples where, people on their deathbed, somebody was sharing me with the other day, that she was, she did not have mala in her hand, but the habit was so ingrained that she was continuously doing this as if jumping, jumping a name and doing a mala. So either I can cultivate this habit or either I can cultivate some addiction, some craving, which I take away with me. So what seeds am I nurturing? That's what we take away. और कबीर कहते हैं कि तुम्हें लगता है तुम मर रहे हो, तुम ना मर रहे भैया। ये जो पूरी गठरी है तुम्हारी आशा और तृष्णा की, ये बिल्कुल पैदा होगी वैसे के वैसे। तो या तो तुम अगर मरना है तो इसी जन्म में इसको मारो, ये जो गठरी लेके बैठे हुए ना, आशाओं की तृष्णाओं की। और हमें लगता है कि भैया आशा तृष्णा नहीं तो मेरा जीवन क्या है, हाउ डिसअपॉइंटिंग, क्योंकि हमने उसके आगे कभी देखा ही नहीं। एंड इट इज ओनली व्हेन वी लीव द डिजायर सोल दैट वी एंटर इनटू ट्रू सोल। वो मौका तो हमें देना चाहिए अपने आप को। कब तक क्रेविंग 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 चलती रहेगी? एंड इट्स नॉट अबाउट नॉट लिविंग लाइफ, अगेन reiterating, it's about living life but in a non-sticky manner, that my completion is not dependent on either bhalla papdi, I may have it, or meeting a person or anything else. My completion is independent of that. Then I live, Jeevan Mukta, as Sri Aurobindo says. And Jeevan Mukta may appear like a big term, but it's the birthright of each one of us. Before being a Jeevan Mukta, we are all like just restless wanderers, nothing else. Yeah, any last comments? So see, the last paragraph is really very beautiful and good takeaway for all of us. Here she says, moment to moment to moment, we are creating our future. Who will give so much free will? Every moment we have the possibility to change, enter into a new birth. No matter what we have done, I may have forgotten the mother or the divine or spiritual life in the past. Doesn't matter. This moment, okay, forget other moment. Next moment, every moment. And mother also talks about that each moment the universe recreates itself, mother says. Each moment. So the universe may be recreating, but I am also a part of universe. Am I recreating myself? And if I'm not, then what is the difference between an animal who is just passively living? He's also conscious. Consciousness is there. But then what is the faida of me being human? When I'm not collaborating in this new creation that's happening every moment. Moment to moment to moment, we are creating our future. Nobody else can do it for us. Therefore, how we choose to spend our time. I get one night off from my relationships, off from my children, off from my husband, everything, not there. I'm all by myself. How do I spend my time? Do I waste that empty space that I got? Or do I do something so valuable with that empty space that I, really honor my life in one sense? So therefore, how we choose to spend our time on practice or on frivolity, and who we choose to spend our time with are clearly of paramount importance. So the onus is on us. I think the last paragraph, it brings it all back to, again, never left us, but again back to reminding us that it's on us. Nobody else will do it for me. We can have these discussions again and again, again and again. We can keep talking for 10 years, 12 years, but the change I have to make in my life. So the first line was, right now, our whole future, imagine the power, not just this lifetime, but future lifetime. In each moment, you are actually deciding your future lifetime. So one may regret that, okay, what I have done in the past is very, non-commendable, and I have done many bad karmas, and okay, what to do, I really regret. Yes, all that is okay. We all do that. But right now, in that new moment, I have the possibility to recreate not this lifetime future, but also the future, the lifetimes ahead. And then we say, मेरे पास power नहीं है, इससे ज़्यादा भगवान क्या power दे दे हमें. Every moment is full of power. And even if I say that, oh, poor me, then actually it's like throwing stones on God. It was not a very pretty sight. My mother used to say, when we would complain as a child, she would say in Punjabi, Rab nu vatte na maar. I think Manmeet would resonate with the Punjabi. That don't throw stones on the God, who has given you so much. Okay. Okay, so we can take any reflections, comments, then we can end.
On that visual that you gave from Prashant, that train coming and me building it on train track, that was a good reminder. And there's this, I don't know who it said by, I heard it from my father that तैयारी 100 बरस की एक पल की खबर नहीं. So again, this is something to laugh at when I look at how I live my life, right? Like the moment has no value, right? I could be spending it in anything. And yet I say I'm so intelligent and I have everything covered. I have health insurance, so when that happens, that insurance, so when that happened. And what I'm doing right now, that I say is not important. Kal kar lenge. So it's very, it's like, again, we call ourselves intelligent, how Jetsunma says it so beautifully, but we are really, when we read these things, right, that now for this, she has to go and ask somebody who's working in hospice that, okay, now I accept death because now it's standing in front of me. Usse pehle somebody is wanting to talk about it. I would rather, talk about, I don't know, skincare and whatnot, right? Which is right there, which is, just body, just body. I would refuse. That day we were discussing that I might even buy life insurance policy, but tell myself कि हाँ ले लेते हैं, सब लेते हैं, जरूरत मुझे पड़ेगी नहीं. This is the truth of my so-called intelligence. Like either I can laugh or I can ignore or I can cry, even in conventional things. Like when we do a, say, MBA business program, they teach us through case studies. And they say that because everybody doesn't have to go through everything, let's learn, right? Okay, they did this, I don't know, that pharma company did that and stuff, but that is just at an intellectual level. And yet all these things are right in front of me. And I don't want to learn, I want to experience each and everything, which is okay. And yet there are certain things which I can learn if I'm honest, if I'm sincere, if I'm wanting to learn. So just, aspiring that maybe we can learn and not have to go through each, I don't know, whatever to transcend. Yeah, thank you.
I was also thinking about this powerful imagery that uh, even if I'm building the house on the railway track and I know my house is going to get crushed, I I feel okay. I'll not be living in that house, but my children will be. I'm leaving something for them, some security for them. And in that, I'm not only living my own life in a trap, I'm passing on the trap to them. So when you say your mom said ki rab nu vatte na maar, so even though our previous generations have been talking about religion and God, but they have not experienced the divine with all the detachments and the freedom the way we are aiming at. So why so much of noise and trap around us? Because there are not enough role models, enough people to look up on to. जब तक हम डिटैच होते हैं आधी जिंदगी बीत जाती है कि ये सही रास्ता नहीं था. But we have seen them building houses on the same railway track. We are doing it now, and then we are passing it on to our children. It's a never-ending trap. इसी को तो रोकना होगा.
I I was talking to one of my friends, a Buddhist friend, on a similar line. We were talking, and she was telling me a very beautiful practice that she does, and I really liked it. I thought that's so nice. And what she does is that she says that before going to bed, just before, I end my day with the metta meditation, spreading like loving kindness energy to the world before I go to sleep. And after that, before dozing off to sleep, I just review my day, like, and the review is based on how much of the time I spent in my mind and how much of it I was really present, and really dedicated to the work that the work of being a bodhi, having that bodhicitta, and being a bodhisattva. And I rate myself every day out of 10. I keep that, and she says that as honestly as I can, because who would be more honest than anybody else except me, that how I was, how much I have went along in that journey of my practice. And she says that now, like every month, I can see a graph, and I can actually really see how much I've done, and I really liked it. And I said, wow, this is so nice, because ultimately, like, Taru was saying that, or I think you were telling Monica about that, that we talk a lot, and we do this and that, but how much do we practice? What do we do? What do we even reflect on how the day went, or we just ignorantly just go and just think, okay, next day, even with me, okay, I'm gonna start with synthesis, but then, oh, I'm so, in the morning I have to go to the university, or maybe tomorrow, and that day never comes, and then a year passes away. So yeah, that example of really concretizing our action, of really seeing our progress every day, and I think it gives fulfillment as well. She was saying it gives me a lot of joy when I see, oh, for the entire week I was up, it gives me that sustenance. So yeah, about taking that step of really reviewing and seeing how much we're progressing, and cultivating more ways of collaborating with people. So yeah, so that I thought of sharing it, that I really liked that concrete practical steps that we should take rather than just living in theory.
Yeah, anything else? Anyone before we dedicate? Okay, so in that case, maybe we can just take a moment of silence. dedicating all the merits we may have accumulated today, tomorrow we may accumulate, yesterday we may have accumulated, and all the previous ones, accumulating all the merit and sharing it with all the sentient beings. May our hearts be full, content. May our minds be simple, light. And may we have lots of joy and progress in our lives. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.